Hi, I'm Isabella.
Hi, Isabella. I'm Kenny.
Okay, so for my presentation, I picked. Can you see it?
Yeah,
Oh God. Okay, so I picked this article that talks about the language specificity of phonetic adaptation to talk. And the reason why I picked this one is because it basically explains how humans are able to adapt to languages, especially the ones who are like bilingual. So like the part of this article that was that I picked was the part where it's mostly like Australian people trying to learn Mandarin. So
interesting. That's interesting.
basically, three facts that I saw that I thought they were like cool was that there's a perceptual learning where the listeners, which were the Australian people, they were adapting to what they were listening because they were like exposed to just a bunch of people who weren't speaking English. It was just Mandarin.
Okay.
And then all of this was just like they also had limitations because it's not like they were all in the same room. They had them in separate rooms and
Yeah.
with like people who will speak Mandarin and all that. So yeah.
Yeah, they're just picking up on it.
Yeah. So yeah, basically they had to adapt to the phonetic of the Mandarin because I don't know if you knew, but in Mandarin they have like a lot of vocabulary with the letter S, while in English it's just like they have more vocabulary with the word F. So yeah, it's just different like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Different sounds, different languages focus on a different letter.
Yeah, because like actually they did an experiment where they will put the Australian people in one room, well, not in one room, but like each one listening to Mandarin, like someone who speaks Mandarin saying something with the word F, and they will try to like get them to differentiate if it was like an F or an S, because they kept mixing those up.
Huh.
Yep. And
There.
then the materials that they used for this experiment was mainly, well, like I said, using the sound midway between S and F, and also, oh, actually, if you, I don't know if you know, but like if you can adapt your hearing in your main language, whenever you're exposed to a second language and you're trying to learn it, then you should be as good as you were on the first language, even though you don't know as many words in your second language as in your other language. I don't know. It's
So
just
it so because you already have the base for the first language, you
yeah,
should do just as
like
well.
still adapting to it.
Okay.
And then basically in this article, like it tells you, or it explains about how there are limits in perceptual learning and how it is important to like have phonetic recognitions or whatever and all that. So yeah, your turn.
I see. Cool.
Like, like, am I still sharing?
Well, yeah, I like that article. I think I've heard of that article before. This is an interesting one.
Hold on.
Should I try and share my screen now?
Yeah, can you share it?
Let me see if I can. Screen. Well, that's the article. Let me see if I can. There we go. And you can see it.
Hmm.
I didn't go fancy with the PowerPoint. I just typed out the questions. And so the title was Shaping the Bilingualism of Game Addicted Players. I chose it because I'm interested in a lot of things video games, but it explores intersection of language acquisition and gaming culture. It's a growing area of interest because everybody's on video games and it it shapes culture. It's linguistics. So the article investigates how online gaming, especially among game addicted players, influences bilingual language development.
So
And it
basically,
delves into
like,
the social cognitive and
so,
huh?
so it's basically like gamers from different parts of the world just like playing video games together,
Yeah, yeah. It
like trying to
pulls a bunch
catch
of
up.
different gamers. That yeah, that's part of actually part of the online gaming with multi-language lingual interactions. I mean, you can think of like Fortnite or Call of Duty. Think of how many people are on there playing all over the world, and they all interact with each other, and they're all speaking and how it shapes the how people say words because of the interactions online. So it's interesting. Um, uh, and then it does help foster some bilingualism because if you play with the same people over and over again, even though you guys don't necessarily share a language, you eventually do come up with a sort of shorthand between each other of like we understand if
Yeah,
my friend
and
is playing.
it's also like you start assuming what the other people saying,
Yeah, yeah,
depending
you can hear it.
on, yeah,
You hear it in their tone of voice, their inflection, and their pitch. Like all of like if they're agitated, you're like, oh, I should pay attention to what they're saying. But yeah, and the authors of this article they drew on existing studies that highlight the role of like immersive environments in language learning. So like you're doing stuff, it's a physical thing with gaming, so you're doing stuff with your hands and your ear and you're listening and you're speaking at the same time, so you're using multiple senses and it affects your learning because that helps absorb it better.
yeah.
So there's a lot of benefits to picking up on it. The methodology they looked at survey they identified the players through surveys and gaming behavior metrics, which a lot of video games actually have a lot of those metrics on there and they're built into it. Um, that was something we also talked about earlier. The materials is the online gaming platforms, Xbox, PlayStation, or PC, and then the timeline for it. They involve pre-test, post-test, and they set a saturation to measure bilingual competence. And they evaluated the proficiency in the secondary language learned through gaming through those post-tests.
So,
And the results.
so basically, they became bilingual by playing,
Uh,
or kind of like the basic. They did.
I guess it would. I guess it's not like Pidgin or Pinion. I forget what it is that language that Pidgin where people like have like a shorthand of the like certain words.
Yeah,
Like they're not no sabo kids anymore. They're like, oh, yo sé un poquito, something like that. Versus yo sé un poquito. They changed a little bit. And yeah, that's what the results found. They changed like from what I like how I just said it. Like yo sé un poquito versus yo sé un poquito. Like if you expose it long enough, they're speaking their language skills develop better and their fluency gets better.
Sí.
And the more they played, the better they got. So video games do
No,
actually have,
básicamente juega bastantes videojuegos con gente desconocida del otro lado del mundo para que aprendas otro idioma.
yeah.
Nice.
Debo de mandar esto a todos, a todos los niños que quieren jugar los videojuegos. Y dije, sí, voy a aprender un nuevo idioma y estoy jugando con mis
Que los
amigos y
papás
eso.
los
Y
dejen sin
pues,
regañarlos.
ya, déjame en paz, estoy estudiando.
Ay, no.
Ya. Ah, eh, y la discusión ah, discutieron cómo lo ayuda socialmente y es interactivo. Y jugar videojuegos no es algo, puede ser intenso, pero es una actividad que no cuesta mucho, no le pone mucha presión. So, y al final, here's the caveat. Juega un poquito, pero lo tienes que manejar bien. Si no, sí, puede ser beneficial para los niños. Ah, so, especialmente para los que no tienen acceso a cosas convencional.
Ah, ok.
Ah, y las limitaciones, small sample size, so that limit the generalizability. There's a lack of control over participants' gaming environments or external language exposure. Um, the probably the exposure to harsh words in video games. So you're not learning it's not always learning great things. There, that's the limitations.
Sí.
Um, yeah, I think we're almost at time.
Bueno,
But yeah,
me gustó tu artículo. Está bien interesante.
gracias. Let me figure out how to not share my screen anymore. There we go.
Estuvo bien interesante.
Gracias. Bueno, fue algo interesante. Are we still recording or did you stop?